You've reached Bandit MC. How can I help you?
Oh, wow. So I guess I don't have to ask if this is Bandit. I know who I have. How you doing, sir?
Not bad. How you doing?
I have to say that's a first. I'm feeling great. It's a beautiful day, and
Yes, it is.
and you just introduced yourself. So that's awesome.
That's how I usually answer the phone still.
You know, I'm going to call shenanigans only because to my listeners, I called before, which typically I don't. Normally just go straight live, but you and I not having talked before, I wanted to make sure to give you a heads up, and thank God I did because you sounded much more feminine the first time you answered the phone.
Well, it could have been a straight business call, so I'd sound a little bit more professional when I'm on a straight business call when I deal with the business for work.
Okay, I get you. Okay, I've got some questions lined up. First of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time to chat. I've been wanting to talk to you, so I really appreciate you taking the time.
Not a problem.
I gotta ask, like, are you a TV guy? Are you a Netflix dude?
Yeah, it's a guilty little pleasure of mine. I won't lie. I do Netflix almost every day.
Okay, so tell us, what should we be binge watching right now? What's out there that we should be watching?
Okay, well, first off, I'm a dude. I do like looking at nice, pretty eye candy, so Star is definitely a show I would tell every guy and girl out there to watch. The plots are good. The Get Back was good. That's been on for a while. I don't even know if it's on anymore. But the Get Back's really good. It's all about hip hop and Grandmaster Flash and Cool Herc and all that good '80s, '70s hip hop, real hip hop. So that's a good thing to watch. The Fastest Five. I just binge watched the 2 days ago. If you're a car person, that's something definitely that you want to get into. It's all about a bunch of sleeper cars racing a supercar, which is like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and stuff. And you'd be surprised at the outcome.
I bet. I have to say, normally I ask a question like this, and there's at least one or two that I've heard of. I haven't heard of anything that you're talking about. And I'm not a car guy, but the second one really jumps out to me because it seems like that's our roots. You know, that'd be really cool to watch.
It is. It is very interesting. The Get Back is very, very good to watch. I sat there and I couldn't get enough of it. And I also have to mention Shameless. Shameless is great, but I'm sure everybody is hit to Shameless. So.
Yeah. And you know what? That is one that I think most people are aware of. I think it's doing very well on IMDb or whatever. IMDb. I've always messed that up. But I think it's rated very well. Okay, I gotta ask, are you a horror movie guy? What's your favorite horror movie?
No, I don't really watch a lot of horror movies. Reason being is I don't like seeing a lot of demonic images.
That's fair.
I'm a very grounded spiritually and stuff like that. So which a lot of people don't know about me, but I do go to church. I believe in God, stuff like that. And just for me, I personally don't like seeing a lot of demonic images and a lot of demonic stuff. I don't like to fill my day with stuff like that. I just don't like to invite it into my world, so I usually stay away from stuff like that.
You know, I can deeply appreciate what you're saying. I too find that there's certain things that I'm a horror movie guy, but not for the gore or for the demonic, I guess that you're saying. I like the suspense. I like I like being scared because it makes me feel alive. That's what I've said to people. Like when I go into a haunted house and they are able to scare me, for that moment I feel current. I feel like everything else just disappeared, and I finally feel like this is all that matters. And I like that aspect of being scared. But I'm with you with the horror movies, especially.
So it's basically like a shake to your system. It kind of wakes you up for a little. It's like an espresso for you.
Exactly that. It shocks me, and like I say, I suffer from ADHD, which is just this constant mind that keeps going and going, and very few things. Like even when I put on a show, I may miss half of it because I'm thinking about nonsense. Just the brain going right. So when something scares me, though, it really it centers me. Like, okay, you got my whole attention now, and I love that feeling. Okay, I got to ask you then, if you are a spiritual person, what would your spirit animal be?
My spirit animal? I do believe my spirit animal probably would be. This is gonna sound weird, probably to people. It'd probably be like a monkey.
Why is that weird?
The reason why why I say that is because, and most people would say like a dove or something that flies, and like, no, I'm a funny person. I find at times, if you ask anybody that's usually around me, I can cut it up, and I'm very active. I'm very mobile. I'm very, I like to get around. I like to get out and do a lot of activities and stuff like that. So. My spirit, I guess, if I'm answering the question correctly, would take towards a monkey more, like, a playful swinging, but then at the same time, its cross can be aggressive, so that's me.
Yo, that's a great answer, and you took the question perfectly. So I think that was a great answer. What would your superpower be? If you could pick any superpower.
My superpower?
Yeah.
Mind control.
Mind control. What would you do with that? What would you do with mind control?
Well, see, I do believe that the mind is the strongest thing that we have as human beings. Like, if you can change your mind, you can change everything about yourself, right? So, like your way of thinking, the way you eat, if you want to stop smoking, it all starts by the thought. You know what I mean? So, if I could change everybody's way of thinking, then we would have no more wars, we would have no more famines, we would have brotherly love, people would get along because I would instill that in their brain from the giddy up.
If I could just say, first of all, great answer. But if you read my Running Errands page, the mission statement or the motto at the top, it says, "The mind is the strongest muscle we have. Used correctly, it can lift the world."
Definitely. I'm 100% agreeing with that. Definitely.
I am too. I dude, yeah. I'm glad we're talking right now. To my listeners also, I've known Bandit for over 15 years, but I think this is the first time we've ever spoken. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. and not because I don't speak to people. A lot of people get they get things messed up. They see me in a party and whatever, and what they have to understand is when I'm at a show, I'm in work mode. So I'm usually standoffish. I'm usually near the stage, the DJ. I'm not really out in the crowd much because I'm usually just listening to the music, feeling the vibe of the crowd, and just in my zone. So I'm not really talkative with a lot of people. If you catch me anywhere else outside and have a conversation with me, I'm all ears, I'm all mouth, you know what I mean? But when I'm at work, like that's work to me. I take it very seriously. My craft is besides 9 to 5 work, that is the most important work to me when I'm on stage. So a lot of people think I'm rude or he's snobby, but that's not the case. I'm not work.
I never thought you were rude or snobby. If I could say, I think you're being kind. I think you're sugarcoating your answer. I think the truth is, in our industry, when on stage, you're surrounded by a lot of inebriated riffraff. And it's hard to sift through and understand who the viable conversation is. So you say to yourself, you know what? In this environment, any intellectual debate I'm disregarding. If you really want to talk to me, meet me in the sober atmosphere in the real world and we'll talk. That's my opinion.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So right there, I couldn't have said it better myself. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay, and you know what? Talking to guys like yourself.
And just to iterate on that, like when I'm using the washroom, people, it's not a good time to spit lyrics in my ears because I might pee on you. Just putting it out there.
That's not a good time to do. Have you ever had somebody actually do that to you?
All the time. I'm sitting there trying to legit use the washroom and have guys be like, Bandit, yo man, yo, wicked MC, blah blah, because it always starts off with that, the compliments, and then they, I got some rhymes, and they just go, they don't even say can I send, do you have a minute? They just start going, and then if they're drunk and the spit starts flying, and I'm not with it, so please pull your card at them.
Well, and see, the unfortunate thing is I'm the guy who meets you 5 minutes later outside the bathroom, and I'm like, hey, Bandit, I love your stuff. And you're like, yeah, whatever. And you just keep walking. Because of those assholes in the bathroom, man.
Try to catch me, far away from the washroom, not near the washroom or the DJ setting, and then we're good.
That's one of the things I don't miss. I remember being on the dance floor, and you'd have people just start yelling into your ear. And when you'd finally be able to make out what they were yelling, it was lyrics. Like they were trying to MC to you on the dance floor.
Yeah, and it's not the place, not the time or the place.
Oh, man. Okay, let's dive into some industry questions then. Do you remember your first rave experience? How was it? What was it? Tell us.
My first rave experience. Geez, I don't even remember the name of the party. I think it was like Delirium or something like that. Oh wow, it was way back in the day. I remember there was a lot of breaks. What's that guy's name? Oh, jeez. Give me a breaks DJ, please.
Marty McFly.
No, not Marty McFly. So Chex, I think.
DJ Chex, yeah, he's okay, international. But yes, DJ Check, big one.
Yeah, so it was Chex. I had gone seen him. I can't remember. It was downtown in a really dirty place. I remember that. And it was really dusty, but I had one of the best experiences at that party. That was great. That would have been my first party in there. And it wasn't really jungle. It was like mostly breaks, but it was jamming.
Well, it's interesting. I automatically assumed that you had started in jungle. I want to back up, I guess, a little on your career as an MC. Were you an MC before you got into drum and bass?
I did hip hop. Like, first of all, like I don't look at myself as an MC. I am an MC, but I'm an artist because, like, I sing, I rap, I do reggae, I make beats, I play instruments. So, just to limit myself to one thing, that's not me. I'm an artist. Like, I've done acting, I've been on TV, I've done TV shows, and so, like, I'm an artist. So I didn't start out emceeing jungle, but I have always emceed, yes.
Well, and the thing that you're saying there about being an artist, I don't know what it is that I feel somewhat sensitive to the word. Like, I consider myself an artist, yet I feel, I don't know, arrogant when I say it to people. I feel like when people say, oh, you're a jungle MC, I'm like, inside I feel like, no, I'm an artist who happens to do jungle MCing. I feel that.
And you are 100% correct.
And I'm with you, dude. The issue I have, like I say, it's my own projective insecurities that say this, that I feel pompous when I say that to people. But honestly, I don't know what.
Never that, man. Like, be proud of what you do. Be proud of the genre that you represent. You know what I mean? Like, we are all artists. Like, like, nobody's not gonna. If people don't like opera, they're not gonna say that Mozart's not an artist. He's still an artist. He just does. Like, or like pictures and stuff like that. Like, that's the style that they choose to do, right? So
totally, man.
Never feel like a pompous these days. What pompous ass, because it is what you do, and you're an artist. We are artists.
Well, thank you for the reaffirmation for me. Hopefully I won't feel so bad next time somebody asks. I gotta ask, like, when I think Bandit, I called it the BLT combo, and Tragedy, when I said that, was like, what? And I'm like, BLT, Bandit, El Natural, and Tragedy. You guys are the BLT combo. And he's like, nope, never heard that one. And I'm like, okay, well,
I've never heard that either. The Hard Way, the Moving Combo, Meet Tragedy, JD, yeah, all day. But never that, man. Think about Natural anywhere that man is.
Okay, then here's the thing. I didn't make it up. This is what us ravers were saying about you guys while you were doing what you were doing. I wasn't a part of the promotion. I was a raver. So we would just go to the party, and I remember we would talk about the BLT combo. Now, like I said,
we've worked a lot. Like, we've all worked alongside each other a lot, but never as an official, like, to say, yeah, this is, Bandit, El Natural, and Tragedy era.
Never. Well, and here's the thing. I think specifically, I can just remember a time the Body Ain't Rockin', Move Your Blockin' rhyme was being kicked, and the three of you were on stage doing it together, and I think that's what created the synonymous BLT thing. And, like, yes, no disrespect to JD, to Caddy, to Lal, to all the other guys, but there was something about you three that, to me and to other ravers, really jumped out. And that I want to ask you about that. I want to ask, do you remember the first time you met El Natural? How did you guys meet?
The first time I met El Natural would have been, like, at Turbo, I guess. And I wasn't really emceeing. I was just, like, going to parties, whatever. Like, I had known Mystical and Sniper and those guys from Brampton, Hartley Crew, massive them. So I was invited down to Turbo to go MC. And for Sniper, I do believe it was for Sniper. Sniper wanted me to MC. Or no, not Sniper. It was Mystical and Unknown Soldier wanted me to MC for them. So I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I went down, and that was really the first time I was really actually introduced to Natural. I knew Caddy from, my sister knows Caddy, like Caddy's family, you know what I mean? So, like, I knew Caddy from time, but that was really the first time at Turbo Bass that I met El Natural and actually did any work with him.
You know, it's interesting to me, not to just jump around on this conversation, but as you speak, things pop in my head. You say that your sister knew Caddy,
Yeah.
correct? And I'm kind of skipping over here, but your girlfriend was Tragedy's sister. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, you are right. My girlfriend at the time was Greg's sister, yeah.
Isn't
yeah,
it?
That's what, actually, weird story how I first met
Let's
Greg.
go into that. Okay, let's go into that. Let's go into that.
So, I used to run with a little crew back in Brampton back in the day, and I used to date Greg's sister, Travis' sister. And we were all at the house one day. His parents were gone away, and he was gone out, but she was supposed to have nobody over. And, we were all hanging out in the house, and they were smoking, drinking, whatever, and we weren't supposed to be in there. And Greg came in, and Greg was like this little skater dude. It's so funny. And he came in the house, and he's like, "What's everybody doing in here?" And he like chased everybody in the house, and we were like jumping the backyard fence. And that was the first time I ever like seen Greg, met Greg, whatever. That was funny. And then like years later, we found out we had common interests.
You know what I love is listening to that story told by both people. One of the great things doing what I'm doing is getting to hear all of you people tell these stories. And when you have, for instance, the Freaky Flow Flipside thing, listening to Freaky Flow's version, listening to Flipside's version of meeting each other. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, listening to you talk about Greg, and then I talked to Greg a couple months ago about you, and it was just fun because he talked about how, these hoodlums were in his sister's, and he was going to break their face. He was going to stab them. He was going to stab them. and then now you're like, yeah. So this little skater kid comes in. The perspectives. It's awesome to me. I love the divide. And honestly, we're all friends at the end of the day, so it's great to laugh about now. But from what I know of this story, that was your first introduction to Greg, and at that point, you didn't know each other as Tragedy and Bandit. He was a little kid.
No.
It was years later. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it was years later. Yeah, years later.
And, hold on, I'll try and lead into the story a little for you. So the way he told it was, he went to a party, and you were on the mic, and he asked, like, "What's your name?" or something, and you told him, and you're like, "Wait a second," and he said, like, "Wait, do you remember what happened? Like, how you guys realized that you had reconnected years later?"
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Like, we were backstage at Opera House or whatever, and at the time I had moved to Toronto. I no longer lived in Brampton. I was living like 3 doors down from the Eastern Bloc, and so people in Brampton, Heart Lake, they're very loyal to their MCs, their DJs, right? Big up Brampton, big up Heart Lake every time. So they, since I had moved, I was more of a Toronto MC now to them. And Greg was like their hometown champ, you know what I mean? So there was this kind of nothing between Greg and I, but any MC, if they're challenged to, this guy's better than you, it's like, well, whatever, we'll see. If he's better than me, he's gonna have to come good, right? So I'm sure he was saying the same thing, I was saying the same thing, right? So the people from Brampton now, they're back, and so we finally get to this party now, and I'm like, "Who's this Tragedy guy?" And he's like, "Who's this Bandit guy?" So we finally meet backstage, and we were talking with each other, and we start realizing, yo, and you know what I mean, yo, and we realize that's Amy's brother, and so long story short, we realized we're boys, we've known each other for ever. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. It's funny you go, "We're boys," when really the last time you had spoken, he had chased you with a knife out his backyard.
Yes, in a sense, but we had bumped into each other along the ways, throughout the years, you know what I mean? Because similar interests. I used to BMXing, and he did skateboarding, and you know what I mean. So I would see him around, he would see me around in the parties, and this mutual circles of friends. So there was no kind of real beef, right? So. And we realized, we're cool with each other. We ain't got no beef with each other, really. You know what I mean? The whole sister thing, and that happened years ago. And people were looking for us to battle on stage with each other. But instead of battling with each other on stage, we actually just started, just working together. And I think it worked out for our best interest, to tell you the truth.
Well, and I want to talk it's kind of a sidebar, but on what you just said, it irks me when I hear things like that, like battling MCs. I understand there is a culture for that, but it's not in the rave. And to get into what you were talking about your spiritual side and your religious, I don't tend to ask those kinds of questions because, once again, this isn't the platform for it. Everybody has their own individual journey in life, and that's great. But the one thing we share as jungleists is music. And
Yeah.
I like to keep it to that when we're at the party. That's kind of, as an MC, what I feel my responsibility is. I don't talk my politics or religion in my lyrics. I talk about moving and grooving and dancing and jumping. Also, when I speak, I don't want to get into those things. If I do, I'll choose another platform. But I think
This is true.
it's unfair for me, and I'll hear people say that to me, like, you've got listeners, you should talk about these things. I'm like, no, I'm not going to shove shit down their throat. Like, if people want to hear me talk about that, I'll set up a date, we'll go talk about it. If you want to hear me battle tragedy, then we'll set up a battle. But I'm not going to go to a rave party where people are here to have fun and dance and bring that negative, I don't know, I think it's negative when you get that battle.
I agree with you 199% because I have so much things that I could speak about. And, you know, I do have one or two lyrics that I do speak on topics, but they are within the scene, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, they may be a little bit harder topics, so, like, me talking about people not doing drugs and, like, you know, like, promoters not paying me money, and if they don't pay me on time, like, I'm gonna fuck them up because, like, the girl's getting liquored up and, like, I'm the one who's performing and shit like that, you know what I mean? But, like, you know, I also make sure that, like, it's at a certain, like, it's warranted when I do those lyrics. Most of the times when I do lyrics, it's just to have fun because I came there to have fun so that you had fun. You know what I mean? So, like, I totally agree. Like, I'm not going to sit there and tell you who to vote for and what God to believe in and, you know, what you should be eating and drinking and what you shouldn't be doing and who you should be having sex with. That's not my circus, not my monkey. You know what I mean? I'm there to, like, you know, make things funky. Simple as that.
Well, and I like I said, I'm not saying that you don't have the right to share those opinions. I'm just saying that the rave isn't the platform for it. And
Definitely.
it upsets me, honestly, when I go to see a musician that I love their music and there's no political underlying in any of the music I've ever heard, and I get up there and they start talking anything political. I'm like, shut up! Like, I didn't come here for this. And if I had known you were going to do this, I wouldn't have paid for the ticket to see you. But that's their right, I guess, and then my right as an individual is to never go see that person again. But
this is true. But once again, well, going back to what you're saying, if I'm going to a political hearing or something like that, or then that's warranted. Speak about it all you want. But if I just came someplace to let myself be free and listen to bass and music go and see people have a good time, and, like, I really don't want to have somebody push their views down my throat because, like, you know, like, that's not what I came here for. So that's not the platform for it. So I agree with you.
Well, and I don't want to go too far into this philosophical conversation, but recently I said to somebody about broadcasting a signal. I said, look, there's a video going around on the internet of a dog being violently abused that people keep resharing, and I made a video asking people to stop doing this. And this person came to me saying that although they agreed with my context, they said, listen, if animals are being hurt, we need to share these videos, otherwise it'll perpetuate. And we need to convert animal rights people. And I was like, if you think by broadcasting that signal to thousands of people that you may convert a couple animal rights activists, I think you're wrong. However, if you think that there's a person who needs to see this video because it's what's going to convince them to become an animal rights activist, show it to that person. But to broadcast your signal to everyone that's on your page and think they're all going to share in your perspective is ignorant. Like, you need to know your platform, know your audience, who you're talking to.
This is true. I never really thought of it like that, but you are correct. Yeah, you are correct.
I'm serious, and honestly, and it's not about, because honestly, I'm a sales guy for a living, right? My job is to convince people, it's to sway opinions. So I'm all about a person who has that idea at mind, and I'm just going to, if you were playing a game of chess and you moved your piece here, where do you think the next move's going to be? Do you think people are all going to go, oh yeah, I'm with you? Or do you think they're going to shut you off? You know, it's like, somebody said to me something today that it kind of irked me. They said, I'm going to educate you. Just that line, I'm going to educate you. And I was like, well, what are you going to educate me on? And then they went on to tell me something that was very enlightening. And I was like, you know what, buddy? I appreciate what you just said, but you didn't need to tell me you're going to educate me. Because by doing that, that's demeaning. It's insulting.
Yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
is insulting. That is to say that I'm not educated.
Well, here's the thing.
And I may not be enlightened on the subject that you are speaking of, but I'm not stupid. I'm educated, so I get what you're saying.
And here's the thing. I think I'm a little bit thick-skinned in a sense that someone can say that line to me, and I don't shut off. I go, well, okay, what's next? And then he says it, and I say, listen, you had validity in your statement. However, you do realize that 98% of people would have told you to go fuck yourself right at the point of, I'm going to educate you.
You know why? You are a person of approach. He approached you the wrong way.
Yes, that is correct. And I'm able to read beyond it.
He approached you wrong. Like that first, just how he came to you and he said, I'm going to educate you. It rubbed you the wrong way.
And I think here's the thing: if you had the context of the whole dialogue, you would I think it would have rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And that's what I mean about. I don't mean to get into my own personal shit, but that's what I mean about this people sharing this video and hoping to turn minds. And the same thing, like I said, I didn't want to go too far off topic, but people going to the rave and spewing their own personal religious or political views to a crowd that isn't there to listen. If you have those things, say them to the people that want to hear them. That's all I'm saying.
I hear that.
Okay, with that, sorry to go too far off there. I got to ask you about your sound because, to me, your sound is very unique amongst all other drum and bass MCs. But I got to ask you, what do you think your sound? What is it about your sound that separates you from everybody else?
I'm a designer original.
What does that mean?
That's pretty much I'm me, and I don't try to sound like anything or anybody. I'm just me. So, people always say that, like, you sound different. And the only thing I can say is, I'm a designer original. I'm me. So, and I don't try to sound like anything. I just do me. So.
Well, one thing I would say that really, like, and I'll cheat now and tell you my answer to this is, you were coming over. You were a hip hop MC on the mic. You weren't doing the selecta. You know what I mean? You weren't this jungle guy trying to do what jungle MCs are supposed to do. You were Bandit doing what Bandit does at a jungle rave. Does that make sense?
Well, see, for me, it's all on the music. Like, if I am listening to a certain type of style of jungle, then I'm hip hop. If I'm listening to a raga style, more of jungle, then because I am Jamaican, so it's more selecta, it's more rude boy ragamuffin style. Like, if I'm listening to more a liquid type style, then it's more, I want to see the people dance tonight, type deal, because that sounded rough.
No, it was good.
But, it's different because that's the style. Like, I hate it when I hear a nice liquid track and these guys are, it's like, dude, breathe a little bit, let the music flow, let the girls dance a little bit, let the mans them vibes, put a nice little melody to it, and then, you got a nice track now where the bass line's rolling, and then dude wants to be like, selecta. No, them times you need to be like, we bring the fat, it's magical, tactical, lyrically factual. You know what I mean? Like, you need to bring that hip hop element. Like, so you have to ride the rhythm, simply. Just ride the rhythm, and that's what I do.
It is what you do. You were always a lyrically inclined MC. I always enjoy listening to you. And one thing, like you said, you talked about how you may talk about promoters not paying you and shit, but at least it's about the party. You're not going up there telling me to go read the Bible. You're not going up there telling me about your mommy or daddy issues. And I'm serious, man. I'm not saying once again that there isn't a place for it, but the rave is not the place, in my opinion.
I hear you on that.
What would you say is the highlight of your career so far?
The highlight of my career happens every time I just get to work with somebody, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, working with, like, Marcus and, like, just emceeing with people, like, emceeing alongside of, like, GQ and, like, Goldie and like, Shy Effects and, I think my most standout one was, hosting for Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys, like, that was an ultimate experience. His manager came up to me, which his manager is his wife, and she liked what I was doing earlier, I guess previously, and she asked me to just pretty much host his set, where again, that's the hip-hop MC in me, right? So
If I could just say, one of my favorite DMC competition albums is Qbert versus Mixmaster Mike, Hot Sauce in the Dick Hole. And it is fucking bomb. Like, and I'm not into that stuff, you know, but that set is amazing. I can't imagine how humbling and honoring it would be to share a stage with a guy like that, Mixmaster Mike. That's awesome.
Definitely, and like, you know, like, there was times he would look at me and, like, you know, like, be like, yeah, like spit something, like, you know, he gave me room to breathe and showcase, and he's a true professional, man. Like, it was an honor, actually. Trust me.
You know what? I feel somewhat honored talking to a guy who performed with Mixmaster Mike. that's how great Mixmaster Mike is. I'd love to be on stage with that guy. What would you consider was the pinnacle of our drum and bass scene? Our local Toronto drum and bass scene.
I would have to say, like, I can't even, years aren't good with me, but, like, I can tell you bar names. Like, you know, around the days of, like, System Soundbar and, you know, like,
well, you referred to Turbo earlier instead of Cobra.
Yeah, like Turbo days and, like, System Soundbar days. Like, those were, like, yeah.
The days where people would come up and MC into your ear while you're taking a pee.
Yeah, but you know, like, that was the grind. Like, those were the heydays, though. Like, you know, the basement and shit like that. Like, it's crazy.
Hold on, the basement is funny because do you remember the basement became Spin Cats and then Spin Cats became the basement? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I remember the basement back in the day. They had I'll say a funny story I'll share with the world. They had video games. Do you remember they had a Cruisin' USA video game in the
Yes, I played it often.
Okay.
I used to race, like, Capital J against that shit.
There you go. Okay, dude. So here's a funny story. Our buddy Mooch, shout out David Mudofsky, he had disappeared. We were about to leave the club and we couldn't find him. So everyone went around looking for him. You know where he was? He was in the bathroom stall, sitting on the toilet, singing Cruisin' the World. He thought he was playing the fucking game. So, like, my buddy opens the stall, and there's Mooch sitting there, and he's going, Cruisin' the World. Get him the hell off the toilet! And then we went over and asked Bandit if he would MC our next party.
Oh, gosh.
But no, I totally agree. I think you're talking years, to put that into perspective, we're talking 2000 to 2004. 2005, I think, is...
those would be around the times, like 2004, 2005, the cusp of 6-ish. Yeah, those were nice times. The raves were off the hook. The 3 days were phenomenal. You know, like, just like Sabo Beach and like everywhere, Algonquin, like Bob Cajun, Tweed, like, those were fun venues. You know, they were just good times.
Well, you're bringing up something interesting. You say Bob Cajun and Tweed, which were specific venues for WEMF 3-day, right?
Yeah.
And that party shines to me because it's a double-edged sword of success. When I look at where we were when WEMF was able to prosper and the fact that you could book that lineup at an economical price that you could throw the party and people could come. But now that everybody's obtained some sort of form of either commercial success or self-obtained success, they are charging more for their booking fee. Therefore, to throw a party like WEMF, plus inflation, all the other shit that goes into economics, but it's now $500, $600 a ticket. So it's not even, you can't do it anymore. And people are like, now that's what I mean. It's a double-edged sword because it's like, yes, I miss the fact that we had those parties, but I'm happy we can't have them because people are just too successful to do them anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, you know, in order to do something like that, a lot of people would have to come off of a lot of high horses and just humble themselves and really just do it because of the love and the music. But sadly, that won't happen.
As a performer, how often have you heard "do it for the love for the music" and gotten sick of hearing that?
I never get sick of hearing it because I understand it. I don't like hearing it when my fridge is empty.
That's it. That's the problem, man. And that's honestly the problem. I talk to a lot of people. That's the straight up truth. Like, I have a career that helps pay my bills. I don't make money making music. And as a result, I'm, I guess, a bit more laxy-daisy around it. Like, when say, hey, you want to come do a set? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Let's do it. $50 sounds good. You know, like, but if this was paying my bills and I had to pay my rent with it, I might be a lot more different about how I approach the topic, right?
Exactly, and for me, that's exactly it. Like, at times when there was a time when I was solely just doing music, I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear, like, I'll just do it for the love. Nah, be like, this is what I'm doing, and I need to get paid, right? And I got a great job now. Like, I've had a great job for many years. So, like, I don't rely on music for to pay my bills. You know what I mean? Like, I do it for the love. And so now, usually on a good day, if somebody's like, oh, hey, just MC me, and the budget is like, depending on how far it is and whatever, I may ask for something like,
well, yeah, as long as
pop-ups, but I'm not really going to be like, yeah, I need this and I need a hotel and blah, 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 because I understand, especially when it's the little guy, and like nowadays there's a lot of little guys, and they're just really doing it for the love. They're not making any kind of money off of it. So I'm more to help those guys than the big guys, them that are there, and that they can pay you the money, and you're not asking much, and they still don't want to pay it to you because they don't see the value. To me, it looks like, okay, well then you don't see the value of me being here. I don't even want to be here, then, and then I don't take the bookings.
Good for you. And I think what you just said is valid in demographics, understanding all the variables that are going into the throwing of the promotion, so that you can make an educated, intelligent decision on whether you want to work for that person or not.
Definitely.
It's valid, man. That's why when people ask questions like, do you think $500 for a booking fee is too much? I'm like, dude, there is so much more that goes into it. Like, where is it being thrown? Where is your name on the flyer? Are you the primary source of entertainment? How much money are they bringing in? How much? There's so much that goes into it, right?
So much that goes into it before I'm just like, oh yeah, like a lot of people do not understand that. You know what I mean? So like, if I know a man's working with a certain amount of budget and like if I'm gonna ask a fair price, and if we can't meet on that, then I see what you're making, and I'm asking a fair price. You should be able to afford that. If you're going to tell me no, then I would rather not work for you, because I see where you're headed at. Now, if a little man comes to me and he's like, and I see his budget, I'm like, I'll do his party for $50. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like, like close to my house, and then, I can get myself there, and I don't need to travel distances, and like, sure, because I'll help you out. You know what I mean? But like, some people they don't get it. They don't get it.
Well, before I dive into the last question here, I just want to say, for perspective, I worked a party last night for free. I actually even picked up one of the artists and drove him out there with me. And we did it for mental health awareness. And we did it knowing that all the money at the door were going to pay for mental health awareness. It's actually going to an autism charity. Now,
I applaud that. I applaud that.
Well, thank you. But it wasn't, here's the thing. If somebody like, I don't know, if somebody big had contacted me to do that party, I would have been a bit more anal about the booking process, because I would have been like, yeah, it's for a charity and all, but where's my booking fee? Like, what are we doing? But because the person who contacted me was one of the people who has a disability, and I could tell that they were a fan of mine, and that it was them particularly who wanted me to go, I was like, I can't ask for money for this. This is humbling, man. I can't believe you're asking.
It's humbling. Like, I'm honored that you even asked me to partake in this benefit. So like, that's how I would look at that, so
it's totally how I did. And I said, what I didn't say it verbally, but the way I felt after was, if there was any money that was supposed to go to me, I hope it goes to the charity. That's all.
Definitely.
Okay, last question before I let you go, buddy. This is my infamous question I ask everybody. If you could put 5 items in a vault that would encapsulate our rave culture, what would those 5 items be?
5 items. I would put, okay, cause they would need a way to play it. So I would put a ghetto blaster,
okay,
with a rave tape pack of like drum and bass arena, or like like a wicked drum and bass tape pack.
Well, sorry to cut you off, buddy, but I don't remember D&B Arena having tape packs. I do remember like Helter Skelter and Innovation.
Yeah, Helter Skelter. Yeah, like I don't know why I'm blanking. Like Helter Skelter, something like that. Like
One Nation, Innovation, those ones.
Innovation would be good.
Yeah.
I would put that in there. So, and then a way for them to play it, so that's 2.
You know, if I could just say, if my listeners haven't heard this before, I used to be that asshole on the subway that had a boombox on his knapsack. You know, that played no requests, but just blasted it through the subway for everyone who didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, but I was never really that person. Like, I would not indoors, but believe me, if I was outside on the streets, you were hearing it. You were hearing it.
All right, so we got 2.
I didn't want to get kicked off to the subway because I needed to get to where I was going. So.
I hear that.
Okay, so yeah, so I put a tape pack. I put a ghetto blaster. I think I would put. Gee, this is so hard. This is so hard because there's so much I'd want to put like some kind of like magazine. And you know what? I would put a Tribe magazine because I'm talking about Toronto rave culture. But I'd put a Tribe magazine in there.
Hey, can I just... I want to toot my own horn for a second. I was in the last ever printed Knowledge magazine.
No, I've never made Knowledge.
I did. And you know what? I was so proud of myself because I was on the same page as L Double and Markey. It was like an L Double article, a Markey article, and an article about me. And I was like, yeah, I did it! I can retire now!
What year was it?
2005.
2005. Okay, yeah. You know what? I might even have that copy still.
If you do, it's Calyx on the cover. And I'm on page 10. I'm in the front line, they called it.
When I go to my parents' house, that's where all my rave junk is. Not junk, my archives. I have like pictures and so much things. I would put, like, I have so much stuff at my parents' house. Yeah, I might have that magazine.
But okay, I love that. Tribe magazine. We got a boombox. We got a tape pack. What else are we gonna put in there? 2 more items.
2 more items. Tribe magazine. So Tribe magazine. Maybe a whistle.
I love it.
Or a horn. No, I put a horn.
I say you put both. I'm gonna let both go in as one item.
Okay, whistle and a horn.
And you know what? I'm even gonna let you have a glow stick in there with them.
Oh, nice. Because like you need the party kit, right? So yeah, I hear that. Even though I wasn't much of a glow stick, and as long as we're not putting any fun for it, we're good.
Oh, don't worry. Enough of my previous interviews did that.
I think I would put a box of like flyers of like from every rave all over the world, so they could just like look at them and see how, like, you know, how many parties and how big it was.
Well, and I love the last answer, but I have to ask you, if you had one flyer that stood out amongst all others, what's the one flyer you remember the most?
I can't even say this is a flyer, man. The one thing that stood out to me the most was those Tribe calendars.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Those fold-out calendars. Like, you know, they weren't flyers, but... And then, what is that flyer? It was a... No. Okay, yeah, I'm going to leave it at the Tribe calendar.
Well, those are great 5 items for the vault. With that, I'm going to let you go. But here, stay on the phone with me because I want to talk to you. I just got to say goodbye to my listeners, okay?
All right, cool.
All right, awesome. That was him, MC Bandit, Bandit MC, whatever he wants to go by. Guys, if you haven't heard him, check him out. I haven't seen his name on flyers lately, but I'm sure he's going to pop up on a few, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled to the scene. I'm going to put a couple links down below so you guys can hear his stuff. But until next time, as always, thanks for listening. Peace out.